getting ridiculous now. I mean, you know, Wakanda, a white man made Wakanda and gave everybody else permission to enjoy it as if it's some type of history.
Right. Identify with this franchise instead of your actual motherland. Like, ignore your ancestors.
Right.
Take on this.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
welcome.
You're welcome.
I believe, but I mean, it's true. Like, how is nobody seen that? Like, you're really gonna take pride in that? Like, bro, pick up a history book. Pick up, there's actually this song that was written. I was looking it up because apparently we have a Black national anthem. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So the song is actually very beautiful.
Hmm.
It was
Lift every voice and sing.
Yes, it's a phenomenal song, but it wasn't meant as a national anthem for Black folks. You know what I mean? So why it was adapted as one, I guess I can understand it, except that when you listen to the song, you know, we have come over a way with tears, and with tears that have been watered, we have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. You know what I mean? So there's several verses that are really dark and very brutal. And if you actually listen to the song, it sounds like, they're talking about slavery. It sounds like they're talking about, breaking free. Well, the song itself was written, I don't know, 35 years after the Civil War. And it was written in honor of the 180,000 Black men that fought for the rights of other Black men in the Civil War. That's what it was written for. So all this bloodshed, all this slaughter, everything that's actually in the song. Again, very, very gorgeous song.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even understand how it's not even a hymn, because it sounds like
it is a hymn. It's sang in churches a lot.
Is it really a hymn?
Yeah.
I've never heard it before. When I listened to it today, I was like, oh my God, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, we played it at my dad's memorial.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I sang it on his deathbed.
Well, come on. It's a Christmas episode.
Wait, hold on. Fully peak. No, that's beautiful.
That's a beautiful song. It's a gorgeous song. I teared up listening to it today. If I had known it back then, I'd probably be a mess. So it's probably better than I did.
Okay, it's okay.
I love it. But it's just like things like that. It's like, wait a minute, why would you need a Black national anthem when we have a entire country national anthem? That one's for everybody. You know what I mean? It's just I
think it's part of like the dispelling that like it was like utilized as in the branding of the civil rights movement. So, and as we know, like the civil rights movement, the feminist movement was like funded by, George Soros and the like. So not to say that it was completely independent. It did, it was like utilized as part of the branding, and it does have its enriched history. So it is independently has its like wellness to it, But you're right that like part of even the civil rights movement was to confuse people in the linguistics of their identity, that like civil, like the even asking for civil rights. So to call something a Black national anthem, there is no nation of Black. So already they're confounding you into like a spell to even say that phrase. And so you're putting yourself into a Black nation, into a landless nation. You're putting yourself into those, that admiralty sea of water. So, I mean, there's basically everything that we're seeing in our world is a perversion of the truth. There's like the most immaculate beauty of creation, and what should be normal and beautiful is being perversed. Like Christmas should be beautiful, but like Satan, like Saturnalia much, like there's a reason why we have all these traditions and we don't, and like in raising my son, I've had a lot of battles about this each year of how to present this time in this season, and like admiring, you know, like we've had a Waldorf inspired homeschooling. And so I've wanted to incorporate the festivals and the transitions of the solstice and the equinox and stuff like that, but not be like too pagan or like too Saturnalia, but then like also not just being like the commercialized version of Christmas and capitalism and like you have to give presents and like this is a bad person, an elf on a shelf and all that kind of stuff. But then also in like carrying on your family's traditions and like that magic that like we experienced as children from our awareness of that, and not robbing them from that experience too, because like your experience with the magic of Christmas carries you through the rest of the year. Like your magic you believe of in Christmas allows a child to believe in magic in every other scenario. It's what makes fairies and mermaids and everything real, because of Santa, I remember.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. What you said about it being linguistically, you know, almost like a
Oh
spell.
yeah, learn how to get up.
Scary.
I traveled far.
I'm sorry. No,
I forgot.
in my head, because that's a really scary thought. You know what I mean? Because that's exactly what it is. And I'm genuinely, I don't know when it came about. I don't know if it's official. I don't know any. I just barely learned about this. You know, so it was just, to me, it was evident that this is how it starts. That this is how segregation is going to happen, and then what's going to happen is it's going to turn around, and it's going to turn right back around on the black race.
Right.
You know, it's gonna turn right. Well, wait a minute. Well, now it's going to be unfair again for
right.
You know what I mean? It's
right.
just like, I just don't understand how nobody sees that.
We'll have black water fountains, then they'll be just.
Oh, right. And by the way, Mr. Let me get a little bit on the song. James Weldon Johnson is the gentleman who wrote the song. He wrote it in 1900. And if you look him up, you Google James Weldon Johnson, on nationality, it says American. It doesn't say African American. It doesn't say Black American. It says American. Straight up. What else does it have to say? Was he a Black American? Yes. A phenomenally historical one, apparently. The things that I read about him, you know, I think he was in charge of national, I forgot what it was called, but one of the very first, they call it National Something Colored Group. One of the very first one of those. It was 1917. But it was it was a civil rights. No. It wasn't that. It was. Dang it! I should have wrote it down.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe I wrote it down. Do. No, I didn't write it down.
Nah, that's fine. Make people research. Look it up.
Look it up. Damn it.
You did that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's just, you know, why, if it was so prominent that we have this national anthem written, or this beautiful song written, that we turn it into a national anthem for a specific people inside of one land, why was it not important enough to point it out in his profile, in his bio? You know what I mean? It just, that didn't click right to me. You know, man, yeah, he's American. Great. Let's keep it simple. So am I. So are you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I just, it's already, let's put it this way. It's already implicated in the fact that he's been written down in history, and we get to speak his name today. That he's a very amazing Black man without having to say those words. It's already been implicated. He's in history. It's been written down. You know what I mean? So just, ideologically, what to me is the point in pointing out somebody else's race, aside from being able to recognize them as pioneers? What is the point in doing it today? You know, aside from segregation, as we already know that we do have successful people in this country of every, you know, color of the rainbow.
I think there is like a bit of historian, like for posterity type thing, where, you know, there are theories of like the original 4 races, and it's kind of showing like a paper, not a paper trail, but, you know, like a legacy I guess, to round it out of where the cultural like milestones and trail markers are for, I'm picturing kind of like just like the coil of the DNA that like as each advancement comes from each of the different, that it's almost like walking, that you can't step forward with the right foot over and over again. You have to like step right and left. That it's a kind of way of of assessing humanity as a whole moving forward. Or I mean, it's really just labelism.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. It's just labeling, but you know, but like I said, historically, we already know the accomplishments of people of our, you know, I have somebody who looks like me who's accomplished things. There's, you know what I mean? It's labeling. That's all it
Mhm.
is. It's labeling. You know what I mean? And you know, not to beat a dead horse, but I think I'm over it. I'm over it. Absolutely 100% over it. I don't. Is there never should there never be again an instance where we don't mention someone's race? Probably not. But when if I ever became famous for something, maybe hopefully something good, something positive, maybe it will be comedy. I don't want to be Latina comic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Fat comic or whatever the label is. I don't want to be
Right.
any of those things. Why can't I just be funny? Why can't I just be good at my job?
Right.
Why can't I just be a woman that's not even that? I don't even want to be a woman. I just want to
Right.
be you know
Tootie.
like no pronouns. You know, just that's so funny. We it's so bad and embedded. We naturally do it ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just
You know, what's occurring to me now is that like in olden times, if there wasn't as much like travel and integration between different nations, like if you had a merchant from out of town, it was relevant to be like, oh, that's that Moorish or that's that like Asiatic or American like merchant. So he has these types of wares because they have these types of resources and like natural, you know, like things that like he'll probably have teas if he's from this place, or he'll probably have like ore if he's from this place, you know, like so maybe it was relevant in that sense that people were a reflection of the land that they came from, but we're so mixed and mingled now that like we're relevant of like more of our digital nation or stat, or like, you know, we don't belong to the land anymore in a sense, and so our race doesn't make sense in that, you know, because we do have so many different ethnicities that your nationality um isn't discussed or as relevant. Like it is relevant as far as like knowing who's American and who's like native to the land in that sense, because it determines our rights and our jurisdiction on the land. But yeah, as far as our ethnicity and heritage, it's only relevant, I guess, in how entitled we are to the culture, because there is that, you know, that concern about appropriation too, where even as people are getting more into these like new agey natural things, that people will get mad that you're using herbs, that's appropriation, you know. And in
yeah,
a
that's
sense it is, you know, like for, you know, all these, you know, people who aren't from this land, who didn't grow up with this culture, to suddenly be leading the movement and teaching of herbalism in the land, you know, there's a lot of disenfranchised people, I guess, from every ethnicity, every nationality, every land. And so we're kind of all just refugees and finding our place again.
okay. Yeah, I can actually I could agree with that. But I also don't look at a I don't think anybody does, but I don't look at somebody and I'm confused as to who they are or what they are. You know what I mean? You know, I'm sure people, maybe not me and you, we're kind of like Vin Diesel. Nobody knows that I'm,
Yeah, we're
yeah,
the question.
yeah,
I've had plenty of time where people come ask me like, "What are you?" Not like,
yeah,
"What's
same.
your
Yeah.
ethnicity?" But
And I always think, I look at the earrings. Latina, man. But no, I get Indian a lot. You know what I mean? You know, so I get a lot of that, like, you know, Middle Eastern and yeah, so it's kind of weird. Um, but
But people ask you as if like, so they know how to relate to you.
right,
Like they
right.
want like
And
that.
by the way, yeah, never once have I ever been offended by anybody asking me, what are you? Like not once. It's like, oh, cool. Like I must have an interesting face. I don't know,
She's
but
exotic looking. She's a
like,
mystery I must unravel.
you know what I
Gotta
mean?
get to the
So
bottom of this.
and that's another thing. I don't think there's a problem with that. But in today's